Boban wanted to share some of his thoughts. Unfortunately, he's just a moderator, but can we give him a chance, please?
Okay, let's, yeah, please go ahead.
Boban, if you're there, please unmute and speak, Boban. If not, we'll go to the next.
Yeah, so next is Nanda. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Actually, I want to ask a question about detoxification. Is in our body, is it a pseudoscience or it's a partial pseudoscience? Because if detoxification is not happening in our body, then how do we get healthy? And are the toxins produced in our body? And a second thing is regarding mysticism. Science has a limit of many things. Like we at a point, when we reach a point, there are some things which are unanswered. So people like me who are curious to know and who are not from a medical field, they turn to look for answers, and which leads to things like mysticism, yoga, etc. So what alternative solution would all of you, some of you, recommend me?
Yeah, so I'll take that first question where you spoke about detoxification, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we as human beings already have very good detoxification systems in our body. The first one is the liver, and the second one is the kidney. So we don't need any other detoxification processes other than these two. And we have to maintain their health. That is what is required. So if you ask me what are these detox that you see all around on WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, they are basically businesses. They are basically promotions. They are basically programs that are done to make your purse and wallet lighter, emptier, and that's it. So there is no science behind any detoxification. So detoxification actually happens a lot in Ayurvedic practice. No, it's a lot of stuff in Ayurveda which actually we follow as part of these modern day detoxification processes. So they have rejuvenating therapy, detoxification. Now, if you ask me, there is a kind of practice known as panchkarma in Ayurveda, where they use a series of processes, including vomiting, purging, induced diarrhea, bloodletting, a lot of stuff which they claim will detox you. But how does it detox somebody? I mean, if you vomit out, or if you have a lot of diarrhea, or if you let your blood out, how does it detoxify you? So there is no evidence towards whatever they claim. So detoxification, yes, God has given us a detoxification system. I'm taking the name of God because I'm just taking it as an example here, uh, in the form of kidneys and liver, and that is all the detox that we need. And I think in the second part is very important, because science has its limitations. Science has its limitations because there are gaps that we currently do not know. For example, the COVID outbreak suddenly happened, and we were unaware of what was happening. But now look at where we are. More than a year after the outbreak, we know a lot about that virus. We know a lot about what works, what does not work. And that is how science is. Science does not accept that it knows everything. It accepts that there are certain problems, there are deficiencies, there are gaps, but that does not mean that you can fill those gaps with pseudoscience. And that is exactly what pseudoscience wants. They are looking for those gaps, and they are going to fill those gaps, and they are going to fill those gaps with deception and false evidences. And that is what one must, in the general, understand about pseudoscientific practices.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add on to that point, there was a great point made by Abby. So I think one of the core philosophies of science is intellectual honesty. So in science, if we don't know something, we just say we don't know. So that's the reason we are trying to find out. But that gap is often filled by pseudoscience, like Dr. Abby just mentioned, which is unfortunate. But the important thing we need to, I think, normalize, or like many people say, we should normalize saying I don't know more often. So when we don't have evidence for something, or when we don't know how something works, we should accept that we don't know the answer. So that is the core of science. Not knowing or telling that I don't know is the core of science, actually.
Shall I add something?
Yes, please.
So
Yeah, please.
the thing is that, like, your body is perfected by millions of years of evolution. So what I suggest is you better stay away from all the detoxification thing, because that is going to make your kidneys and liver non-functional. So it is always good to stick with modern medicine and science. Thank
There is
If
also
I could
something.
just,
Yeah.
One thing. I just wanted to add one small point to this. One of the most common detox, which has been promoted by one of our
great freedom fighters is enemas, which supposedly rids your body of toxins. This has no clinical evidence, and in fact, it is also pretty dangerous to do this. So that is one thing, and then there are some other detoxification things which are less dangerous, like, but still has no evidence, like foot detox. Your foot, they'll put a small something in the sole, an adhesive sticker, and then after a while it'll come out with basically it'll just peel off the skin, the callus in your feet, and this is supposed to be detoxing. And then there is again in Delhi and Bangalore, you see oxygen detox centers where they give you oxygen to breathe, which is, again, it can be dangerous if it is inhaled in large quantities for long periods of time. It's about 85% oxygen. You're not supposed to do that because your body only requires very low levels of oxygen, which we already get from air for free. So these are the things that they capitalize on. So just stay away from them.
Yeah, Abhijit, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on.
Yes, please go on. We can hear you. Abhijit, are
As
you? Yeah, you got
as
broken in between. Yeah, please go on.
okay. There is such a thing as toxicity, and that's usually heavy metal toxicity or the ingestion of certain poisons or anything of that sort, which of course lead to serious medical conditions that need to be treated very seriously by professional doctors to heal. And we do have detox procedures for such, for such problems. But as everybody has said before, most of these detox products, quote unquote, that are in the market, that are liver detox, which the liver is already detoxing your body quite well, those are all marketing scams, and none of them have been proven to do anything else. I was curious. Nanda had asked something about mysticism, but I missed that one. I don't know if we're going to be tackling that one today or not. But well, if she comes up later, then I'd like to hear what she had to ask.
I mean, would you like to add anything on that mysticism, Abhijit?
I don't remember exactly what she had asked about mysticism.
Yeah, I mean, basically it
She
was about
was
these
asking about
pseudoscientific practices.
the gaps in science, and people use mysticism and fancy thinking to fill up these gaps in science, and she was concerned about that.
Yes,
It could
this
be
is
that,
something,
or
of
it could be
course.
something else as well.
Usually, mysticism is like a hodgepodge cocktail of all the things that you cannot, actually put a pin on. It's not a clear thing. It's very broad. So, if there is some specific cases, is it like bringing in spirits or talking to the dead, that sort of thing? Then it is a given that it is like pseudoscience. If it's anything else, let's hear.
And of course, you have people like Deepak Chopra and a lot of people who are in the fad diet industries, who either speak absolute gibberish and say that your body works in mysterious ways and that you can connect your chakras to the
Cosmic
heavens and
oneness.
somehow
It connects to the cosmic
exactly.
oneness. Your Kundalini connects directly through Wi-Fi 5G to the cosmic oneness, and quantum energy will pass through your nostrils into your Kundalini and through your 5 chakras. So that kind of language
Yes,
makes no
and
sense
heal your
whatsoever,
whole body of all
and
your
nobody will
ailments.
question you. Nobody will question you. It just
Exactly.
goes.
So this is a similar. I feel that this is a very similar argument to what's called the God of the gaps, which is basically, as has been described. I don't want to get into religion. I'm just saying that this is an analogy that as science has progressed and has continued to explain the natural world in more detail, the need for a god or gods to explain such phenomena like earthquakes or hurricanes or bad year of crops or a drought has receded further and further and further. And so now God in the who basically represents an explanation for how nature works has receded into only the pockets of ignorance that we still have. For example, the creation or the what initiated the Big Bang, what was before the Big Bang, what's outside the universe, etc., etc. So, in a very similar way, we have mysticism and spirituality and practices like Reiki and auras and faith healing, which don't necessarily, I mean, it's not like science can't explain how these things work. It's just that they have receded into the places where people are ignorant. It's where if you have a basic understanding or literacy of science, you know that these things can't work or have no basis of working. But they have used people's ignorance against them to establish themselves as a spiritual or a mystical way of healing, which again has absolutely no basis in reality or in science.